Okay.
Legend.
Attention away from people who serve my bills or who pay my bills, and all attention to Starshaped. What's up, dude?
Yo, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Wait, let me switch. Let me switch microphone. I think I'm using a bad one.
Sounds better than some of my co-casters, but all right, do whatever you feel like. It's good to hear you. Of course, also very good random player, one of the best European players at the DreamHack circuit. Almost got a map of X-Lord with 1 million towers. I will never forget that. So yeah,
right.
Whenever you're ready, stage is yours.
What are we talking about?
About the patch.
PTR.
Okay.
In general, you are setting the stage, basically. You decide the topic.
All right, let me just. Is there a link to the? There we go.
I see you coming very well prepared.
Well, I mean, they did a very quick update, and like my impression whenever they do a very quick update is that like there's a PTR, but I don't really think they've like data mined the PTR to make changes. Like they've only listened to feedback and then made changes. That's what it seems like to me. And so whenever there's a PTR, I feel like that's often the case. That like how much useful data do they actually get from a PTR, and how much are they just kind of winging it based on their own intuition and what people say? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it seems like I don't know. I feel like oftentimes they could just as well just release a patch and then like let people play it right away and then make changes as they go along. The original patch was crazy with the Paladin aura and the bash and all that. But I think they made some nice changes along the way now. And I'm quite excited, especially for the Firelord change. So we can start there, I guess.
Yeah, you've always been a player that was a little outside the box. So what can you do with the Firelord now?
So, Dondo, can I call you Dondo?
Call me whatever you want, Starship.
Mentioned so the lava split, I kind of agree is stupid because it just all the strategies that were very all in just kind of got better, and I like we don't really want to see Firelord Tower Rush, I don't think. So in that sense it's bad, but as a first hero playing a non all in, like I'm thinking hot style, you know, Tree of Life, the very first thing you build is a Tree of Life, and then you get the Firelord and Archers. That style I think will be much stronger now, because especially the incinerate buff. Like imagine how much more efficient the Moonwells are going to be when you're just spending 2 mana for every incinerate instead of 6. Ew. And like that was always the big issue with that style, is like you kind of run out of moon juice and then you're dead. So I think this can actually this could be have a serious impact on how Night Elf is played if people ever like adopt that style.
Are you excited for that playstyle, or are you worried that it's too strong now?
I'm excited. I think it was like right on the cusp of being playable, but it was always kind of a gimmick. Like if you knew about it, it was usually kind of hard countered. But I think it's such a radically different style. So if it could be more viable, I think that's great. And I mean, we already see Night Elf has kind of gone back to the old ways of like Demon Hunter Bears every single game, every matchup. So it's like I think this would be really fun to see.
Yeah, they try to incentivize Warden. They will incentivize Firelord, even though I don't know if they know who Hot was. But yeah, gonna be fun.
I mean, that's also another thing is like, I've talked about this before, I think, but like, why Firelord out of nowhere? Like, it's because people mentioned it last time, or like, why does Firelord deserve to get buffed, but not Potom or not, Tinker or whatever? Like, why do they all of a sudden just buff this one hero? There's no reasoning behind it.
Well, I guess on Thursday when we had the open mic night once, like we had now, everybody mentioned the Firelord. So I guess they were listening in. So if you have any proposals to them, the ears might be open right now.
Buff Potom, buff Hunts. Those are the two things. Maybe.
Okay, how would you? Okay, let's go serious with the how would you?
If you say heavy armor against Starshaped, I'm
gonna kick you out.
upset.
But I mean, we all want a more exciting Potom, I guess. So how would you want to buff the Potom?
Well, okay. Well, I might be the wrong guy to ask because I think the Potom is fine as is. I would just buff the numbers, honestly, because it's like Owl is a lot of fun to use, and the Potom aura is just an aura. It's like, some people like Remo, they really want to change the hero, but I think you could literally just buff the aura and the searing arrows, and that'd be enough. Like if the True Shot aura ever gets buffed significantly, then I think we would probably start seeing Potom outside of Night Elf Mirror as a first hero. Because Scout Owl is already one of the best spells in the game. It's just like people don't realize it because nobody plays Potom because it's a terrible hero. But like one of the best spells in the game is on that hero, and that's Scout Owl. It's like completely busted.
Are you talking one-on-one or
with a question?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
If you buff True Shot Aura, though, wouldn't it mean that Night Elf Mirror will never be anything other than Potom hunts or stuff like that? Because if it becomes too strong, right, just any other way of playing Night Elf Mirror won't work, I think. That's a risk, intuitively.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, right now it's only Bear, Demon Hunter Bear. So it's like, is that better or worse than Potom hunts? And like, Potom hunts, especially today, like people just get better and better and better at the game. So like, this style of Potom hunts isn't like, it's been kind of solved a bit. So I think if you just buff it, I think it'll still be fine to play Demon Hunter Bears and stuff like that. Especially now with the rejuve or the mana buff. 10 extra mana like helps a little bit as well, defending those pushes.
All right. Are you worried about the Demon Hunter immolation with the changes now, as they kind of doubled down on it?
I think it's fine. Demon Hunter is completely busted, so it's like I think nerfing him is more than fine, and it's like one of those. It's just the most frustrating hero, isn't it? Like I think it's fine to just nerf it a bit. I'd honestly just remove it from the game if I could, but that's a bit of an extreme opinion.
Do you have any?
Never...
Yeah,
go ahead.
No. You go ahead. You're the expert here. I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like it's never fun to play against Demon Hunter. Mana burn, like the whole concept of the hero is just not fun. It's kind of like the tank. Like we don't need tanks in the game, and we don't need a hero that makes you not be able to play the game, and then also give that hero immolation. It's like, I don't know. Not a fan of the hero.
The whole concept of Demon Hunter is having emo names and dragging everyone down with them. I feel like that suits him. It's a good thing.
All right. Is there anything else that you would like to see that is not in the notes, or anything else that you're worried about?
I'm a bit like, when I read the new changes with the collision size and the turn rate and stuff, abominations. I wrote it in the chat as well, but I feel like it's a bit. It kind of goes away from the feeling of the unit, or like it's a huge stitched together monster type unit. Like it's not supposed to be small and responsive. It's supposed to be there to spread disease cloud, and one abomination will spread disease cloud just as good as any number. So it's like, I don't think this unit was ever intended to be massable. So why should we make it massable? I think it's fine to be like a clumsy, tanky disease spreading unit. So it feels kind of off flavor to make it this way. I feel.
Yeah, no, that's a fair counter argument. I would say. I think we still need to keep in mind though that Ford is still big. I mean, it's still bigger than Knights. It's the only thing that is bigger now is Torrents.
Yeah, so, that's fair. I mean, and this is, I think, Neo mentioned this as well. Like just changing turn rates and collision size is a very novel approach. I think it's very clever to try. So why not? And it's a very small tweak, which is again like the weird thing about Blizzard now is like one of the patch notes is that Bash does 100 damage, and the other is like, oh, we changed the turn rate by 0.1. Like the extremes are just, and if you have all these changes at once, and some are really big and some are really small, how do you even evaluate like what a specific change has done to the game? It's very, very difficult, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
So like speaking of that Bash, like Critical Strike, I think it's also kind of a feels bad spell in the game, and now Bash is just going to become that as well. It's like you either take plus 0 damage or plus 100 damage from any random attack from a level 3 Bash. It's like, do we want that variance? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is all very fair points. All right, Starshaped, thank you very much. If you have If you have anything else to say, let us know. But otherwise, we're gonna open the line.
I think the only thing I'm missing from the orc buffs is that they could probably do with a watchtower buff as well, maybe plus 100 range.
Okay,
pretty
that's
nice.
it. Bye bye, Starshaped. Have a good
All right.
one.
See you guys.
Do we have to
He wants
mention?
fortified to do counter chaos damage.
Should we mention that the last one was a joke, just in case someone is listening and he's memeing because he loves to play them and loved to play them and annoys everyone with them. That was a joke. Don't do it.
It was a joke, but Starship would generally like that change as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%.
Two things can be be true at the same time. And I guess this will be one of the cases.
Here we go. Phone lines are open once again. We are on the Back to Warcraft Discord. There's a channel called Peonborough. Join us if you have anything to say. If I see people, certain people, making us responsible.
Yeah, but tomorrow I'm gonna make someone else responsible. So then we do like the circle of blame shaming. I think that's fine. It's a good thing.
Yeah, in the end, in the public eye, it's all Remo's fault anyway.
That is true.
Even though his response to the patch just came online today. And we have someone who I think is gonna be extremely happy today. Scars, what's up, dude?
Yo, what's up?
How many beers are you in?
0.
Okay.
I have to stay in a clear mind until my Peonborough experience is finished.
Okay.
No, so in general, I'm surprised twice. First, that they actually watched the PTR content of the community, and secondly, the changes they made. So of course, especially the Troll Headhunter buff was really needed, and finally they realized it. I'm still on a no justice for devotion aura position where I said clearly last time there can't be a middle ground. So just let the aura stay the same. I actually got convinced by you guys maybe that the militia duration would be fine to make it stronger, but just like in the last iteration, so plus 2.5 seconds. I like the argument that it's good for alternating first heroes, which I would like. And I'm still really confused about the bash because I really think that the stun duration increase also on units is extremely powerful.
It's like Entangle was, right?
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's a passive, and it costs no mana first, and secondly, I'm not 100% sure how it works. I'm not a pro at the game mechanics. And
I can explain you, Mr. Scars.
But let me ask my question, then I'm really happy. So first, so during a bash stun duration, you can bash another time, right? Does it like give the full next 6 seconds at level 3, or does it like overlap at some point? Do you know it?
No, I mean, so you can double bash, yeah, and it will. So if it was 3 seconds and it was 1 second into the first one, you get like 1 more second, right? So it overlaps in a way. It doesn't give you the full duration after, but I mean, it still gives you the opportunity that a hero can get like bashed for 6-7 seconds if you're unlucky.
Yeah. So if you bash someone at level 3 for 5 seconds and you bash him another time, you'll get another 6 seconds. So total 11 seconds stun, right?
That's, I think, how it works.
So yeah, and I would say, I mean, it's not too, like, if you have it at level 2 already with 4 seconds, it's amazingly strong, in my opinion, also against units. Like, if you bash a unit once and you keep attacking him, it's basically dead.
Yeah.
And especially because we have, like, big units like bears or knights, abomination, and so on, might be really strong against those units. And also, it's not too unlikely to get at least like level 4 quite quickly when you play MK first. I think it's too strong. Maybe it's too strong in general, but at least I would say make it at least 2, 3, 4 seconds and not 2, 5, 6. Yeah, and that's it for the bash stun. That's my main concern, the stun duration on heroes and on units. Like I think on units it's quite crucial as well.
Since they didn't listen last time, maybe there's a chance that you explain once again, real quick, why the devotion aura change is still bad and they shouldn't touch it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite the opinion of you guys, or Dondo said it, I think. So, just because Paladin gets seen the most versus Undead, where the Divine Shield has a special use case, because first of all, it's more about survivability, because you are in extreme survivability of heroes, because you are in extreme late game. You have upgraded knights and so on. So the armor is not the most important thing, but just to keep everything alive. Because with a brilliance, high level brilliance aura and holy light, you can save your units. You don't need the armor that much. But in general, the devotion aura is just really strong, and I think you shouldn't buff it just because you don't see it in the most use case of Paladin. Doesn't mean it's a bad spell. It's the other way around. It's really strong. So in other matchups in late game where you see Paladin, you will see Devotion Hour, or with Pala first builds against Undead, or with, I mean, which is not too likely to be honest, but also some cheese strats or some off meta Pala rifle. It's really, really strong. So I just don't see a reason for a buff.
All right, then I want to ask you about the Fire Lord, because it's not that rare that orcs go for like Farseer Fire Lord tower pushes or stuff like that.
Actually, I like the changes, but not because I think it's really strong and I can finally just Fire Lord Tower Rush every game. But overall, I still feel like, because especially in Orc Mirror, it's quite settled to Blade Master, Shadow Hunter, Raider Walker. And I think that even if you buff the Headhunters in this matchup, it's kind of still set for Blade Master or Grunts. And actually, it was really a surprise that they, in my opinion, might have found a way to make Farseer Firelord at least available for like an off-meta cheese strat. So at least you have it once or twice in a long series by either one or both players. So I think it would be actually kind of healthy for the game, especially because if both players decide to play Farseer Firelord Rush like for SOGs and they realize they are playing Farseer against Farseer, you might have like another option for the mirror. So they might go SH or TC second, because Firelord all-in sucks against Farseer, so you have more variation. So it's kind of okay, I think. Maybe you can reduce the split, not from 12 to 9, but like from 12 to 10 or something, or you do it like, I think Neos, you said it, just reduce the mana, so everything stays the same, but they cost like 20 or 30 less mana, so you can use them not only twice, but maybe 3 times in like one attack.
Yeah, that would certainly be helpful and probably the right way to do it, or a better way to do it. Would you be excited to get a crystal ball from your first camp?
Yeah, it feels really weird. Like, if you find it once, it might be good, but...
True. Didn't think
like,
about this yet. Yeah, good point.
If you find it multiple times, it will suck big time.
Yeah, that's true.
like it's I kind of understand what they try to do, but first the crystal ball is not giving you that much information right at the beginning of the game, because most races will scout anyways, or orc will harass anyways. So the use case is like less strong than if you find it just right before tier 2 or at tier 2 and you can scout, does the enemy have an expo, or which tier 2 buildings does he have? So I think the use case is like just invalid, like for the real early game. So you rather would have armor, attack speed, or damage. Yeah, so it feels weird. Like if you find it later on a green camp, it's nice. But if you find it right in the beginning, it sucks. So
Yeah.
it's a weird spot, and especially with maps where you have like many level 2 creeps, like the item level they drop. You can also find like multiple crystal balls, and that feels weird as well.
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
have a situation where one guy gets 3 circlets and has +6 on everything, and you got 3
Yeah.
crystal balls. Like
Yeah,
Hawk
so-
will definitely quit with this patch.
But I have an idea how to change it, and I mean there was always the idea to give its stats, so make it like, I don't know, crystal ball active and like +1 int or something. That might be something, or what in terms of the where does it drop? It could be dropped in a sentry ward, illusion, and the potion camp. So maybe that's more fitting. Because actually, if you get a sentry ward or a crystal ball or illusion on a crystal ball, it might be still still worse, but not too bad. I think it's more fitting in this category of items, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, there is the purpose of scouting with the Watcher Ward and Illusion, so thematically, it would be nice there, I guess.
And actually, I can get a better idea, but the idea was from Remo actually. The first time I will copy an idea from Remo, but I will change it a little bit to just show him, yeah, your idea was okay, but in the end you didn't think it through. So, so Remo had the idea of Farsight having like a dust effect on the units if you cast it on them, and maybe it could be similar with the crystal ball. So, for example, if you reveal archers or blade master, they have like a dust effect, and not like, is it now that they are just revealed for a few seconds and then they can hide again? No, make a dust effect 20-30 seconds, so it's a scouting and revealing item, because sentry wards is like full reveal but can be destroyed. So 2 charges make crystal ball scout and reveals, and it will be really, really okay in this drop item drop category.
So what was the thing that Remo didn't think through?
He didn't say it for crystal ball, but for the far
okay.
side.
Okay, yeah.
I got
okay.
him there, bro.
Yeah, I think it is the same mechanic actually, but yeah, it's nice. Yeah, that is not bad if they can code it, which I'm not too sure about that. Maybe we see into the inner skirts of the map or something. I don't know.
We already know they did something wrong with coding the lava spawns, I think.
Yep.
They don't split more fast, but they do more damage or something. So I mean, yeah. I mean, stuff like that is cool, I think. Or any like changes that are cool, but I also think we have a lot of potential to work within the parameters of the game. And since like the list already of now actually value changers are so big, adding reworks might be a bit ambitious, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Or wait, Bobby OG.
Oh.
Really nice suggestion as well. Actually, a suggestion I wanted to make for a special item, but it can be integrated in Crystal as well, to give it Ultra Vision upgrade. But then maybe keep it on tier 3 item drop table.
Isn't that broken?
Yeah, because otherwise you just get... I mean, if you really didn't like Night Elf having Ultra Vision at tier 1 against Orc, they might just get it back, right? with that change.
I think that's a huge
Yeah,
buff that
it
could
might
be
it
unfair.
might be really strong, yeah, but a really strong crystal ball, bro.
yeah, would be.
It's
But I mean,
time.
I like when level 2 and Hawk can stack them. They can have like stack 6 crystal balls in an Archmage. Cool.
Yeah, maybe that's too strong, so we can reduce. But I like the idea to integrate mechanics of the other races in a smaller way, like in a
Yes.
weaker way into items. So maybe make it Ultra
Yeah.
Vision, but not as much as the Night Elf Ultra Vision. So give it, I don't know, plus. It's I don't really know the numbers of the vision actually. So make it like the half of the Ultra Vision upgrade and put it into the Crystal Ball, for example. But the problem stays the same, that it has a use case that doesn't stack. So either reveal or night vision or something, but you place it on the camp that is crypt or a camp that is quite often on the map. So
I mean, if you give it like a small ultra vision, it could stack, right? Like, let's say the first gives you 50 range of vision, and then the second one it stacks, you have 100 extra vision.
true, then what it would stack actually, but it's still between.
It is.
I would move it. I like the idea to reduce it to the drop table of the second level, but then make it to a camp where that is not too present on the map. So, for example, like the Illusion Sentry Ward drop table. So
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, we got another caller waiting. I was about to say, do you have anything else, or shall we get another person on the line?
No, it's fine. See you guys.
Thanks, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I have to leave, Mr. Neo.
All right.
I have some stuff to do.
You have duties
Unfortunately.
for tomorrow. Yeah, we're all busy here. But it was great
luck.
having you. Made some great points, and we'll discuss everything at length tomorrow.
Whew. Yeah, it was fun. See you tomorrow.
Take care.
Bye, man.
Good guy, Dondo. Good to have him by my side to explain things like turn rate and collision size properly. I will get another caller who was here last time with me, and the person who is maybe responsible for the Firelord changes, 481. What's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going?
Well, pretty good now that the changes to the PTR are done.
Yeah, I thought I just wanted to come up and make a few additional comments about my Firelord suggestion. I feel a little responsible for it, and I just want to say first and foremost, like, when I was talking about the Firelord, I was just kind of making like a throwaway suggestion about like, oh, he should get buffed. Oh, make his spawn split faster. And I thought about it a little bit more, and I thought, if I was in charge of it, I don't think I would make them split faster. But once they split, they time out really fast.
Isn't that the case already? That they have a faster expiration time.
Yeah, but like so if you have once it splits, like I unless you put like Unholy Frenzy or Bloodlust on them, then you almost never see them split a second time. And as far as like the improvements that were made to the Firelord, like I like the Incinerate mana reduction. I don't think I necessarily agree with what I said last week about the Firelord split reduction. Having thought about it a little more, I thought I was just kind of making a throwaway comment. And I definitely don't like the volcano damage increase. I feel like that kind of puts it on par to like Starfall, and I think volcano is kind of fine where it is, where it's like good for clearing out like towers and farms and good with stun, but like when you were talking about like it like destroying bases, I think that's just a little too much.
Yeah, I mean, it does 2,250 damage now. That is, 2/3 of a castle, I guess. So that is pretty strong. But yeah, you gotta be careful what you say here on the stream, mate. They are listening, apparently.
Apparently so, and I had no idea that my throwaway comments were going to be taken seriously. Same thing with Save Orcas. So I like the Headhunter health increase. I'm a Headhunter fan myself.
Yeah, that should definitely give some variety back. Desperately needed variety. Is there anything else that you particularly like or don't like in this update?
As far as the A-bomb reduction, collision reduce, and the turn rate, I kind of agree with Starshaped. Like, they don't need that. Like, nobody, I mean, I realize that A-bombs aren't necessarily like a massed unit like the way, say, Knights or Bears are, but I just don't think it's necessary.
Okay, question here. Did you try it already? How they look and feel and behave?
No, I have not. Are they like ghouls now?
I don't know, because I had no time to test it. I had to get it on the stream, but I thought you guys might have played around with it. So I don't know. I want to test it first before I make a comment.
That's fair. But I do have to go. I just wanted to give my quick 2 cents thought on that and just say sorry if Firelord ends up being broken. Don't come after me with a pitchfork.
We will. You know, it's the internet, man. We will. And you deserve it probably as well.
I probably do.
Thanks for the call in, man. Have a good time.
Yep. Have a good one, man.
All right. Next up, we got a person who I thought would be the world's best player with the patch if the other changes went through, but now his esports career is in shambles because Devotion Aura got nerfed again. Lemes, what's up, dude? I can't hear you at the moment if you're saying something.
Hello.
There we go. Lemes, what's up, dude? And you're gone again.
I can hear you. Can I hear you?
Yeah. Now it's good.
No, it's going on. Hello there.
Hello. You sound too happy for the Devotion Aura change that I've seen here.
I was never a big fan of it.
Really?
Yes, because if this go through, everyone will no longer fight me and just leave me. Because no one was going to try to win a fight against me.
To some people out there who might not be familiar with you, you play Pally Rifle in pretty much every matchup, right?
Except Human Mirror, then I need to go Pally Footman opening. But yeah.
All right, so as a human player, what do you think of the changes?
Well, I'm kind of scared of Nightlab changes, about the Fan of Knife change and, potential laming with it. And this is like indicator of you cannot go to the late game against Warden. You need to tier 2, tier 3 push her, or she was going to evaporate your economy. And yes, there are some, possible like Zeppelins micro to save workers, etc. But in the long run, it will never work.
Yeah, she will come just once again, and the one time you're too slow, they're all dead.
Yeah, exactly. And also, this tier 2 push will be harder to execute, or tier 3 for the undeads, because of the Druid of the Cloud buffs. So I'm kind of scared how this is going to look like. And is it possible to either go to the late game against Warden, which probably not, or to tier 2, tier 3 push her, timing push? Like, how to approach her.
Are you more scared of the Fan of Knives buffs or the Blink buffs?
I mean, I overall don't like Blink because, like, it's make her too much MOBA. And it's, like, super hard to catch her, super hard to save units with it. Because she can always go in, go out. Especially with level 2 Blink. Like, it's the most powerful spike for her right now. Like, in case of defense and mobility. So, yeah, I'm kind of scared of it, how it's going to look like.
All right, since you're a human player, I want to ask you about the change to the keep. The food has been increased from 12 to 15. Mm-hmm. Is that something that helps you?
I mean, right now when I'm on 48 food, I need to make another farm to make another caster, currently, with my build order with rifles and casters. So now I can fit extra unit with it, except without building an extra farm. So I would say this is like life improvement, change.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with this. It will not break the game. Like one farm is like cost you 80 gold, 20 wood. So it will not slow you like. Sorry, it will not make you like too fast
Yeah.
in case of like getting army, etc. And you can make like triple casters and then make adapt training, etc. So yeah, I like this change overall. Like it's a nice buff to tier 1 base playstyle or a human, which currently is dead.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's true. That's good to hear because I think that's exactly what they want from this change. Is there anything else that you're excited about or scared about?
I am kinda don't understand why they change devotion aura to those numbers. Currently it's 2 3.5 into 5, and now it scales 1.5 every time. With those changes it's 3 4 6. So level 2 devotion aura gives you only 1 armor, which just when I think of it, I usually end up with like level 4 paladin at the end of the game, and I will probably never pick level 2 devotion aura because it's either you get +1 armor on everything, or you have divine shield that will save a lot. I guess they try to make it so it will be easier for a paladin for the early game with extra armor +1. But yeah, like currently I don't see scenario where when I pick level 2 devotion aura.
So if you had to pick, would you rather go for the old values or the new values?
I mean, this is the buff of poly rifle. I will take it. Like, why not? But I think they will set up this to 2 4 6, and because then actually level 2 means something plus 2 armor, and it will be more straight up. Also, I'm not sure if devotion aura need to be changed. Like, paladin is good in fights right now, and you don't need, if you go of course pala first, you don't need to buff him in fight actually, but outside of it. So either it will be HP regen or movement speed. I'm not saying that you should put it there, but just an example, what you can do to improve poly rifle strategy. Like, it's better to do something outside the fight, like extra base defense, as I said, movement speed, HP regen, something that will help you catch up with opponent, push him back, not literally just late game fights. We are okay at this stage.
Is the militia duration something that helps you in that regard?
I try to
seconds
not use too much militia in the early game because you need a lot of wood, then you need to tech, and then you need to gather a lot of wood because you need long range rifle, probably second building, second hero, and you would like to also have +2 attack upgrade. So this will help a lot in case of one camp and then you have 5 seconds faster to come back, or 5 seconds faster creeping, but overall it will not change too much in case of poly rifle.
All right. Very good insights from a pally rifle player. Is there anything else?
Well, I don't think so. I just want to point out one thing about Firelord. Does it 2 mana incinerate isn't too much?
I don't know.
It feels like nothing.
It feels like nothing. Maybe they will end up in the middle as always.
I hope so, because if you go AM first and then go for the Firelord, you always have it active.
Yeah. Is it strong though? Like, is it that strong? It takes quite some time to be noticeable, no?
I'm not sure. When I was playing against Firelord first and he go level 2 incinerate, I already feel those punches.
Okay.
So it might be AM Firelord against, for example, Demon Hunter to put more pressure on him, especially if there is no evasion.
True.
That's it. And of course, revert settled changes, please.
All right. Lemes,
Okay,
thank you very
that's
much
it.
for the call, dude. Good evening.
Thank you. See ya. Bye.
See ya. All right. Lines are empty. I would like to take one more call or two if you have an opinion on the patch and want to say something. Apparently, the Blizzard people are listening. Before we go into our big discussion tomorrow. Yo, we got someone. We got someone on the line. Rhythmt, what's up, dude?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Have to boost you a little bit, I
great.
guess. But there you go. Okay. Who are you and what's the reason you call in?
So I usually make maps and talk shit. And today I'm here because Orcas dumped on me some editor work without telling me that he would be the main guest tomorrow.
You're very good on the
Actually-
shit talking part already. I like that.
Yeah, and actually I taught him how to map, so he should have told me.
All right.
Anyway.
Anyway, do people know a map of yours?
I don't know, maybe 4v4 I made North Marsh Ruin. Maybe that one. Other than that, I usually lurk around and help people and
Nice.
make my failures.
Nice.
So,
All right. What do you have to say towards the patch?
Well, I am very happy about the neutral movement speed changes because they change how creeps aggro with units. Because
Oh.
actually creeps aggro depending on whether the unit is slower than they are. Which is the reason why water elementals are focused first, but when a creep is bloodlasted, it treats every unit the same. Because then every unit is slower than them. Which has been a problem with. Do you remember when W3 Champions made the winter maps
Yes.
for Christmas or whatever?
Yes.
That players were losing their minds because creeps didn't aggro the proper way.
Yes, I do.
And this one was the main issue about that. So I'm very happy to see this. But overall, I think I'm not too happy about the item changes. Mainly because they seem to lack a vision or some sort of focus. They seem very reactive.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that you could put together so many stat line combinations and make so many new items to fit the pool with different stats that can be balanced around level 2, level 3, and so on. But they seem to be just shifting things around, trying to see what lands, which I'm not too much of a fan of.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It feels a bit visionless, but for that to be a new item, you would probably need a new graphic for the item as well, right? And maybe they struggle with that. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, there's so many assets that you do not see in melee maps that you could pull from campaign or miscellaneous stuff that
True.
I honestly like. It's a lot of effort. That's it, I think.
So, what would be an example of an item that you would create?
So, for example, I would put the circlet. I would leave it 222 and just put it in the shop. You can only buy it from the shop, and it stays there, and everyone is happy.
Mhm.
For example. Other than that, I think I would play more with main attributes and secondary attributes. So maybe that would be a way to also balance the pool between finding the best items and the not so good ones. If, for example, instead of being sleepers +3 agility, it was +2 agility and +1 main attribute, maybe it's still not ideal, but it still would make them a bit more comparable. The best items to the not so much.
Is it
I
hard
think
to code that?
Not at all. I've already done it.
Okay, all right.
Like not at all. It's quite easy actually. But yeah, it's an opinion worth as any other.
All right, sounds good so far. From a map maker's perspective, is there anything that you would like in a future patch?
Well, I would like for Orcas to make me the main balance balance maker for Warcraft 3.
Yeah. That's probably a great idea from what I've heard today. Yeah.
Yes, but Orcas told me that he's a bit short on change before he can buy Microsoft, so it will take a while. Other than that, I don't know. Honestly, I just dick around with mapping and that's it. I let other people say what they want for the mapping. I'm already good.
All right. Very good to hear that the neutral movement speed thing has an impact. I think very few one-on-one people know that. So it was good to have you on, mate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Rhythmt, everybody. There we go. Maybe we take one more if someone has something to say that wasn't mentioned yet. Come on, back to Warcraft Discord in the Peon Burrow. I welcome you. Cian, thank you for the sub. Pimps, thank you for the 74-month. Buttcrumbs, thank you for the gifted sub. Tsunat for the 14-month. Circlet Bag, Pog. Not Pog at all, dude. Hellbish for the 17-month and Mac Alpina for the €3. Congratulations. Quberte, I see you in the chat all the time. Why are you not with me here? That's a good question, isn't it? I think it is. Did someone work if Echo Pulse work? Did someone test if Echo Pulse works since the patch? Nope. Just a little. I haven't heard about that yet. Yeah, there was a report in the chat earlier, just to mention this. Firelord lava splits on PTR still split at the 15 hit mark, like pre-patch, but they got higher damage from auto attacks. That sounds wrong. According to Chuddy, the collision size change now makes A-bomb in line with Grunt's pathing-wise. Yeah, that's something we gotta test, I guess. Are you going to have the weekly cup with PTR this week? I'm very, very sure. I'm also very sure that the changes are already on the War 3 Champions ladder, PTR ladder. They have an extra section on the launcher. So if you go to non-melee and then go to PTR 1-on-1, the updates should be included already on War 3 Champions. So you don't have to download the PTR. Just go to War 3 Champions and play it there.
What's up, bro?
Yo, Bird! You are complaining the entire evening about this patch. Now tell me why.
Yeah, I mean, I think the patch just doesn't really address the issues that are actually in the game.
What are the issues?
You did say, well,
how much time you got?
Yeah, I mean, we can go over it, I guess. I mean, I'm not obviously an absolute expert, has to be said. But what's clear is that there's still a few things in the game that are not particularly fair, let's say, or perhaps, they're not quite in order. Gargs come to mind. The state of Orc at the pro level, for example, hasn't really been addressed. I think the buffs that were proposed there don't really tackle that. Everything is very sort of sweeping and general, Nothing feels very particularly targeted at like, okay, let's fix this race because of these specific issues or whatever. But yeah, I don't want to go through the entire list. Obviously, it'll take us a long time, I think, and we've heard a lot of other people's inputs. Your resident expert, Don Delare, of course, has gone through them meticulously with you already. For me, the bash changes in particular is definitely meme tier. That has to be said. I don't see any reason to make it more damaging than it currently is. I think the percentage also currently of 20, 30, 40 is also more than acceptable. I think you could argue to buff the damage a little bit, but I don't think anybody thinks that bash is like an underutilized or weak spell. Very interested to see how the militia changes are going to play out, though. I think, this was already mentioned too, that for a long time, humans have been asking to revert the original nerf that changed it to 40 seconds. Perhaps it opens some new doors. We'll see. I'm definitely curious to see how it'll play out. I think it's okay, and it's not too strong. Devotion Aura, I think having 3, 4, and 6, for example, is just aesthetically like unpleasing to the eye. Having this bizarre gap, you've got an uneven number. Why not 4.5%?
True.
Sorry, 4.5 armor.
Then it would be a 1.5 increase every level.
Yeah, I think that just seems fair.
You think 6 armor seems fair?
It's a ton, but to be fair, you would need level 3 aura, which generally speaking is going to be a level 7 paladin. Maybe even more than that, potentially. Is it strong enough to pick it over level 3 Holy Light on level 5? I'm not too sure.
Was about to ask that, because 9 armor, it was pretty much a no-brainer to take it over
Yeah,
Holy
that's
Light.
definitely a no-brainer.
But with 6, yeah, that is definitely changing the skill order again, I guess.
Yeah. I think, for example, just quickly looking through the changes, like buffing keep and castle food, I think the keep idea is nice because you get to an even 50 food and then an even 80 food. The castle plus 16 food instead of 12 means that you build one less farm by the end of the game. Largely irrelevant, I would say. So having a more even 15-80, I think, is better, like how Save Orcas was originally proposing. Immolation changes, I think, are just largely unneeded. I think the spell is almost in a perfect state. I think it needs, a slight bit of adjusting with the turning on and turning off to make it actually have somewhat of a penalty. I think that's perfectly fine, but there's no reason to touch the damage at all, in my opinion, although it is a tiny nerf. But is there any reason to further reduce its efficacy? I don't think so.
It was a Don Dolores suggestion.
To reduce it again?
Yeah, well, he put it in a paper a month ago. Now they picked this value. So yeah, we can blame him if it's too weak.
Well, I think it's already in an okay state damage-wise. It's far from the craziness that we had when it was first buffed. I think kind of they missed the mark a little bit with Mana Flare, which I'm sure is going to be going into be the deeper dive tomorrow. The range is not really the issue. The fact is just the damage is completely absurd and overtuned. Mm-hmm. If I'm not wrong, the way it works is that a 25 mana cost spell is enough to completely trigger the full damage because they changed the factor from 3 to 4. So before you needed to cast like a 30 mana spell to do 90, because it used to be 90 as well, the maximum damage. And now it needs to be a 25 mana spell to do 100 damage. And it doesn't just damage the target as well, it also hits all targets. So 3 fairy dragons can quickly wipe out a whole back row of casters, which is just, obviously not balanced. The range will help a tiny bit in terms of maneuverability for the human, but the issue is just the damage. It's just far too much up front. I really like that they're just... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
They have to dive a little deeper into the army, right? So it should be easier to kill them, but then the problem is that a Mana Flare Fairy Dragon is like 15 armor or something. So it's not that easy to kill in the first place.
Yeah, they get plus 12 in Mana Flare form, so they are really tanky. You could even look at reducing the armor potentially because your only counter are rifles and gyros, both of which don't have like insane damage against single target. And in these messy late game fights, like the human has to reposition so much to deal with them. So yeah, I think damage, maybe the armor could be looked at. I think again, missing the mark here with Fan of Knives. The problem with Fan of Knives is that it no longer, with one auto attack, could reliably insta-kill acolytes and peasants. I don't know if we want a world where it's back to that state again. I'm sure all elves do. But it's something that's definitely unfun, but then it is also kind of essential for the hero to function. It needs to be able to lame economy, but I guess making it more powerful in straight up combat could be enough because it is a very, very big buff to be able to hit 7 targets. So we'll see. Maybe it will make the Warden's combat efficacy strong enough to, not have her be so reliant on laming economy.
Do you see her now versus Gargs? Or like functioning versus Gargs?
I mean, Warden was never really bad against Gargs. Fan of Knives has always been good against Gargs, apart from, well, not exceptional, obviously. It's not as insane as like a Nova or anything like that. The trouble for her was the early game, dealing with the fast expansion from Undead. But I think technically against Gargs, having Warden Panda is a pretty nice combination. And definitely makes her a lot better, though, for sure, against that. So that will be helpful. Giving back a little bit of mana to the Druid of the Claw, I think is not too significant. I think that's okay. That probably makes it easier to cast. Does it actually change any breakpoints?
I am not sure because I can never remember how much mana they get with an upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. It changes the actual amount because there's like a increase, right? Maybe it allows them to rejuve and transform immediately out of the... Oh, they already could do that, though. I don't know, actually. But what if this changes anything, really? I think 10 is not massive. But I think it couldn't hurt, to be honest. I don't think it's particularly significant. Changing Abominations and Fiends, oh my god, this is beautiful. Obviously, a little bit of an undead player bias here, but my god, those units are horrendous.
This is interesting because some people say it's really good and some people say it's not noticeable at all. Did you try it out already?
No, I haven't tried it out.
So how do you know it's beautiful?
Well, the concept is beautiful, Neo.
Very good. Okay.
I mean, especially reducing Abomination's collision size. That's just the worst in the world, trying to move them into combat, and making even more than 1 or 2 already starts to feel terrible. And having the units be more responsive in general, able to actually change upon their axis faster is definitely beneficial for undead, with 2 of their units being particularly bad at doing so.
So would you say this is rather a quality of life change than a balance change?
Well, in theory, with Fiends, like any ranged unit, if they have a quick turn rate and also a fast attack animation, then that would improve their ability to kite, because they will be able to actually maneuver more easily, let's say.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to change too much. I think at the very highest level, the undeads can already basically kite as perfectly as possible with Fiends. I'm not sure that will actually change too much. Perhaps for lower level players, it would be nice though, especially when you go up against mass air from any race in general, or just trying to kite, across the board will be easier. But definitely not something that pro undeads require. I think undead is already in their hands in a strong enough state, basically, with the way the units actually work. But it definitely couldn't hurt to make them feel better, because Lord knows we need some quality of life in this game. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I said I wasn't going to go through change by change, but I mean, that's just what's happened, hasn't it?
We kind of do. I always enjoy time with you if we're in Gym Discord or here. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, I'll try not to keep these too long, because obviously we've all, you've had several people talking about the changes already. But yeah, Bladestorm, I think the nerf, the buff, the initially proposed buff wasn't actually that crazy. I know it's a huge percentage technically, but Bladestorm is already incredibly niche. Pretty common in 4 versus 4 and of course FFA.
Did you see the updated Bladestorm yesterday on the cast?
I mean, I can picture in my mind how much damage it does, yeah.
Can you really? Because I saw 7 Necromancers disappear in a second despite a heal scroll and heal wave. It was strong. Yeah.
It is strong. But how often do you get level 6 in 1 versus 1? Which is ultimately what the game is balanced around, right?
Yeah. I mean, we casted games where this happened, but yeah, every blue moon.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a shame because it's such a sick ultimate. Obviously, having it at 160 would be 160. DPS would probably be too strong if it was so commonplace in 1 versus 1. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's not. So keeping it at 160 would have been reasonable. 140 is still a decent buff, and I think one of the only things they actually hit the mark on, apart from maybe you could argue militia duration, is reverting the HP nerf on headhunters. Yes. I think when we all saw that nerf be proposed, I think everybody was like, no matter if they hated headhunters, was like, this is kind of the wrong way to nerf this unit. It's already squishy, and the nerf was really noticeable, losing that 25 HP. Doesn't sound like a lot, but they die pretty quick now, so I'm glad to see the HP returned. And I think probably no further adjustments are needed, especially given the state, especially given how orcs are currently performing at the top level.
Yeah, and of course the headhunter change goes hand in hand with the cheaper upgrades. So you can acquire like 3-1 a lot faster than before.
Yeah, I'm actually slightly concerned about those orc buffs. Orc is an extremely wood demanding race. If you're trying to go to tier 3. If you play tier 2, it basically doesn't affect you, but It's funny because I've been playing a lot of 4 versus 4 lately, and trying to get, like reinforced spikes, expansions, tier 3 upgrades, getting armor upgrades especially are extremely costly for Orc. I didn't see any reason to buff or I guess reduce the cost of either the attack upgrades, like the melee or ranged upgrades. They're actually both pretty cheap and scale quite decently. They don't become outrageously expensive, but the armor upgrade is just absurd. It's like 375 of each golden lumber on level 3, which is just a joke. So not a big fan of that, and I do think that the armor could stay with being buffed and reduce the lumber increment, but the other two upgrades I kind of disagree with.
Okay, fair take.
Firelord, man. Where do we begin with this, eh?
I mean, the stage is yours, dude. I'm leaning back.
Pretty much gigantic buffs across the board. I think Soulburn is an extremely hard spell to potentially fix or change to make useful, which obviously they haven't touched here. Because it's such a do-it-all kind of averagely spell in one go. It provides a silence, provides a damage reduction effect, and a burn over time. And it's cool that it has all those effects, but it does everything so averagely on a hero that already struggles so much for mana, due to the primary ability, of course, costing 150 mana per cast is just crazy. But I think that's kind of justifiable given that they now split with 3 fewer shots, the lava spawns, and Incinerate being 2 mana. Now, I think Incinerate could have used being reduced to 3 or 4 mana, but I think actually the way the spell functions is kind of what makes it weak. The fact that you drop the stacks immediately upon hitting another target is the biggest weakness of the spell. I don't know if there's any way to fix that. I think, whoever's doing the balancing gives me the impression that they're just able to basically tweak numbers here and there and not really introduce completely new concepts, especially ones that may or may not affect the game code or engine.
Yeah, but Incinerate is a debuff, right? So you could just increase the duration of the debuff so it matches the attack speed of the Firelord better. That should be a simple value change.
So things that are logical like that don't always work in the editor. When I went to test how Fan of Knives worked, there is literally a field that tells you how many maximum targets Fan of Knives can strike.
Yep.
And it's all set at 0 in the editor. It's just 0.
Yep.
And this is what I didn't understand when RazerMoon initially said about the way it works, this artificial, is that it is indeed artificial. If you edit those values, it doesn't change anything. It's like the field is dead. It doesn't work. So either it would work or it wouldn't. That would require some testing.
Let me see. Incinerate in the editor. Where would that be?
Under abilities.
Yeah, I got it. But where would be the cooldown
neutral
thing?
passive? I think heroes.
Yep.
And then Firelord. Or I guess you could scroll down and see where Incinerate is in the menu.
Okay, I found it.
Buttcrumbs, in the meantime, gifting subs to Amaranth and Pokimane. Welcome, guys.
Welcome. Glad that you're educating yourself on the new Warcraft 3 balance. So,
Too funny.
It seems to have a 4-second duration.
But I don't know if the stacks are actually maintained if you hit different targets. That would also need to be clarified. Okay. My opinion is that they actually drop if you hit a different target, but I don't know that for a fact.
I don't think so, to be honest. I don't think they drop. Okay. But can you attack fast enough so you reapply the debuff is, I guess, the question.
I guess 4 seconds in any sort of attack move situation is probably not long enough to maintain the debuff on multiple targets. So, but in any case, 2 mana makes the spell at least viable to leave on 24/7. Yeah.
I mean, you can test it and report back tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Split requirement. Yo.
Yeah, that's crazy. Firelord is already an amazing creeper in the early game. Definitely one of the best in theory. Like, you can just sweep up the map if you were left undeterred. The fact that it now takes 3 fewer shots, I think we're going to see so much, so many lava spawns. Obviously, it also makes it stronger for potential rushes as well. And I think also as a first hero for Night Elf, it's also viable. Not at the pro level, obviously. But obviously, good old Hot used to play like that at a pretty decent level. I think it's not weak by any means, and this just makes it even stronger, which is fun because he's a cool hero. He's got that pimp walk, man. He's got that swagger.
He is the Conor McGregor of Warcraft.
He really is. So I'm definitely not offended by this change, but it could potentially prove imbalanced.
Yeah.
And we would just have to see how it plays out. And then Volcano, I mean, I watched that clip on Facebook, Neo, of the Volcano that RazerMoon and Cass
Oh my god, of all the platforms, you use Facebook?
We've discussed this before. Like, we're Facebook friends.
True, we are.
So yeah, I actually see a lot of the clips there on Facebook. And yeah, the Volcano was just insane, right? Like, in the right situation, it's like one of the most powerful ultimates. It's just absolutely bonkers. So changing the damage to 150, it also doesn't specify if this is like unit damage or structure damage or whatever, because it's calculated differently in the editor too. But let's assume it's just damage across the board. That's pretty crazy. But that's fun. Again, we don't see Volcano at the pro level. It's all good. For me, two of the biggest bugbears, apart from going on to the reverted changes, which thank God they reverted the movement speed nerfs. I was a huge critic of that. I think that would just make the game feel worse across the board. Those heroes were brought up to par for a reason. There was a huge discrepancy between agility heroes and mounted heroes. So to have them be more even was better. So to decrease the non-mounted and non-agility heroes' movement speeds was just a terrible idea. And we would see an even like more pronounced imbalance there with Lich and Archmage in particular, because that is already a very volatile matchup in the early game. And to see the Lich be even slower would definitely not be nice for that particular matchup.
Yeah, very, very glad they walked back on this. People are demanding the clip with the Fire Lord, so I got it up on Instagram. Can I do this full size? I don't even think so. Okay. Instagram desktop, guys. It's horrible. Sorry about that.
That does sound bad.
Oh, well. Can I zoom in on this? No, not really. But here you see it. An entire screen of units stunned. I mean, damage is neglectable when you stun an entire screen for this long. Means that there can't be a disable against it, of course. It is a channeling spell. But yeah, that is... it can be very strong.
There's a second one as well. Oh my god.
It's gorgeous.
It's definitely it's such a beautiful ultimate. Definitely one of the most enjoyable to see in the game. It's just crazy how good it is.
Yeah.
In the right circumstances, which I think is fine to make it even stronger. I mean, I kind of feel like, why not? It's fun, and it will have no bearing on professional play, which is the most important thing to consider. And of course, the last reverted change, the Rusty meme pick. Thank God. Just never even contemplate adding an item like this into the game again. It'd be the same as adding like a dagger item that gives you a 15% chance to crit. You know what I mean? Just giving heroes passives when they potentially already have passives. For example, you could bash crit in theory with the Blade Master, which I tested in the editor. It's laughable, and I'm glad that it's gone. For me, two of the most interesting things out of all this is the Crystal Ball change and the Staff of Teleportation change. My opinion isn't fully decided on how I feel about this. I think putting Crystal Ball into tier 2, objectively, it makes sense, as in we need to lower the power level of the item because it's a bad item and doesn't belong in the third, like the permanent level 3 permanent item category with Claws, Pendant of Energy, Ring of Regen, like all these really strong items, even Ring 5 in theory. And Crystal Ball is so unbelievably bad. And it, in my opinion, has actually been plaguing balance for quite a while, this item, because of how bad it is. If your opponent finds Claws 8 and you find Crystal Ball, I mean, you're just in so much pain inside. But leaving it in the level 2 permanent items, where we've also now got, quite a few items, because the circlet is being moved back as well. I'm not sure if the item pool is now too diluted for the level 2 items, you know what I mean? Because, again, I still think in the early game, if you find a crystal ball or your first camp, it doesn't provide enough information for you at the start to warrant having so early on, and is still inferior to almost every other drop. I mean, your opponent getting a circlet now, of course, since it's back into the tier 2 pool, and you getting crystal ball, I think it's still just as big a feels bad, man. In my opinion, I could do with just removing crystal ball entirely, and maybe revisiting it. But I would quite like to see it just completely removed for a time, and then we can discuss like, oh, is there a way to re-implement this item now that we've let things settle a bit? How do you feel about that, Neil?
I feel like it's always psychologically bad to take things away of a 21-year-old game when the things that were promised to us were kind of bad in general. So having it, I think this is something that would help an amateur or a starting player a lot, because on lower levels and I of course include myself, you're in general bad at scouting. But on a level 3, it gives too much gold to not sell it. But if you find it early and can scout with that, could be pretty convenient for lower level players. But of course, we don't balance around that. So yeah, it's still bad. I liked Scars' suggestion to put it in the consumable tab, basically, with Watch Award and stuff. But yeah, but I think it can't do that much damage if you put it in level 2. I have a way bigger issue with the circlet being back on level 2.
So we can talk about that, because that's kind of the last time on the menu, I suppose.
I guess. Yeah. I talked about this at length, but please add to the discussion.
So what's your very quick TLDR opinion on circlet? Too strong, too weak in level 2?
Way too strong for level 2.
Too strong. Yeah, okay.
In comparison to...
We all know that it's better than every other item in that pool.
Yeah.
Even Ring +4, obviously being moved down from permanent level 3 to 2, it still doesn't come anywhere near close to the benefits that having +2 all stats provides, because it just provides you so much of everything across the board.
Yeah.
All the stats don't just give you one bonus, they give you multiple bonuses. Agility giving you more armor and attack speed, and intelligence give you more mana and mana regeneration, and strength, the drill. Yeah, I think I do kind of miss the circlets, not gonna lie. I do miss finding like 2 or 3 circlets. Nowadays it feels really rare to even have one sometimes in your 1v1 games. Because it's such an iconic item. But obviously it's not good to look upon these things with rose-tinted glasses. So for the sake of balance, I think it's best to keep it in the level 3 pool. But then if so, I would really hate for Crystal Ball to be in the level 2 pool, because with no circlet there, now, you're just going to find Crystal Ball more frequently, statistically speaking. I think we can all just agree we just don't want to see Crystal Ball. Nobody's hoping and praying like, oh man, do you know what? If this camp drops me Crystal Ball right now, I would be pogging out.
What if you reduce the cooldown on Crystal Ball?
It's difficult to say. I think what's clear at the top level of play is that being able to scan, doesn't really change the impact of like how the game's going to play out. Because you already have access to a scan via lab in the vast majority of your games. If you actually need to scan something, for other situations, you can buy dust when it's combat situations, or even sentry wards, of course, as well, which are probably the best one. And then you've also got the ability to scout with almost all races anyway, with units. I feel like its purpose is kind of already covered by different items. So
what if it reveals the entire map?
That's pretty funny. I mean that's a scary thought.
We can change so many variables, right? Like, of course we know the crystal ball in its like as it is now for many years, and it's kind of a meme. But before we remove it, we can change a lot of stuff that the crystal ball does.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, it'd be kind of interesting to see if Warcraft could ever enter like an experimental time where for like 2 or 3 months, we could really test out balance and experiment with lots of different things without it affecting tournaments. Tournaments you could still choose to host on different patches, right? In theory. I don't know how many people actually engage with the PTR. Maybe you should probably know this better than I, Neo. Like how many people actually take the time to go play something that isn't the standard ladder in order to give feedback. Whereas if it was actually the balance, for example, that War 3 Champions was played on, but then tournaments continue to be played on the last stable patch. I don't know if that'd be an effective way to gather more feedback and explore avenues that we've never dared to touch because they would be too imbalanced, or just too crazy or too out there. Like giving Cristobal the ability to reveal the whole map for 5 seconds, I mean, you would see everything.
That is correct.
Obviously, literally. It's just, the thought of that is insane in certain situations.
I'm just making suggestions to not delete an item immediately.
Does Cristobal hold a special place in your heart, Neo?
No,
Is that why you don't want to remove it?
I just think we shouldn't delete content, but rather add content. And make stuff exciting instead of putting it on the shelf for half a year or whatever.
That's fair.
Maybe make it a consumable and it reveals the entire map once or twice.
It's definitely fun. That would actually make it pretty fun to use. And when you look at all the other consumables in the level 2 pool, presumably you're going to the... Still, if you could have that effect, you would probably still put it in amongst the Wand of Illusion, Replenishment Potion, blah, blah, blah. Because all those consumables are pretty nice, but apart from Wand of Illusion, which is probably the only item that was ever like super imbalanced, of course, also Lightning Shield in a couple of situations was pretty broken too. Sentry Wars can be broken. But yeah. I don't know. It sounds fun to give it a little try. 5-second duration, perhaps. You still have to look around the map quickly to see what's going on, right? Exactly. I guess it's not something you just use and then you immediately gain benefit. You actually have to use your eyes and brain. Yeah.
And that is for a Warcraft person very, very hard.
Although I can imagine in team games how powerful this would be. To be able to look, you could just quickly use it and then look quickly and see on the map, okay, who's where. Yep. There's 2 guys going this direction or 1 guy's going cross map here, blah, blah, blah. I think its application in team games would be incredibly powerful. But then again, it would probably be something you only get once or twice again.
All right, then let's wrap this up with a very, very short summary from you.
Overall, the patch still misses the mark. Unfortunately, the actual concepts that are being introduced for the most part are quite weak and don't actually change anything of great significance. And the stuff that does is largely super imbalanced concepts, like making Bash completely broken, for example. But there are a few diamonds in the rough, changing the collision and turn rates for the undead units, buffing the HP back to the way it used to be for Troll Headhunters, buffing Firelord is cool. The keep to 14 food is okay, and Militia's duration is something that should be experimented with to see if that makes human a little bit more powerful. One thing we didn't talk about is Staff of Tele, having 2 charges.
Yeah.
This one's complicated because in a couple matchups, especially Orc and Night Elf, for example, Blade Master versus Keeper, I think Staff is one of the most crucial items in that particular matchup. I think even potentially on Archmages these days, having Staff is incredibly good. Against Elf sometimes, where you need that mobility to drag the Elf to one side and then Staff to the main base and cancel stuff. These sort of plays. I don't know. It's just like the Boots of Speed War back in the day. We used to have 1 charge. And it's like, whoever gets the boots just like runs your hero down. So obviously it doesn't have nearly the same effect. And we've been used to playing this way since forever, basically, with 1 charge. I do think there's an element of skill in inverted commas, being kind of aware of like, right, I need to go get the Staff of Tele, or, deny my opponent the Staff of Tele to either disable their plays or enable my plays.
Yeah, I think this is not really addressing that issue, but when both players are really freaking good and they know that they have to have the staff and both are at the shop at the same time and it's just down to who has the luck of getting it.
I guess we do have that issue in Warcraft, especially because ping is so variable too. We have, so much international competition. Obviously the ladder is completely global. So it definitely leads to frustrating situations where you're like, I really wanted that staff and I can't use it now. In any case, even though I do think there was actually an element of, say, skill about actually thinking about, right, I need to get the staff or I need to use the staff and deny it from my opponent or whatever.
Did you like it when the boots changed to 2 charges?
Yes, because there were so many instances where not getting the boots was horrendous, especially for human players. Blade Master would buy boots and just chase your hero to death. Great. Like the most non-interactive gameplay in the world as a hero just running your hero down.
So how is staff different?
Because it doesn't necessarily lead to the immediacy of a certain critical situation arising. It's not like, oh, now this agility hero with tons of damage has boots and now I can't escape and I'm just going to get run down and killed. The staff requires a lot of forward planning. Like most low-level players never use staff because you need to actually plan out and be like, right, how am I going to utilize this staff, which has a 1.5 minute cooldown, to make a play or deny my opponent from making a play? And that requires a lot of heads-up thinking about how to use it properly. Boots is literally just, I buy boots and I go fast.
That's correct.
So its application is simple and often leads to very immediate impact. The staff, not so much. Now, obviously, again, top level plays, staff is pretty important for the most part. Sorry, the people in the comments are freaking hilarious. But I think it's not as imbalanced. If we had both at 1 charge, being that the boots would just be, in my opinion, so much worse. To keep it 1 charge, and obviously they changed it to 2. I'm still in favor of putting it at 2. It just removes that element of like, well, I lost due to ping, or those moments where you just don't get it for some reason. Your opponent does. That so often happen to Warcraft. I think it's fine.
Alrighty then. We kind of disagree on that one. I love the staff change, but it's fair. We agree on a lot.
Yeah, I like it too. I do overall like it as well that it's 2
okay.
2 charges.
Okay, you sounded very, very, very negative there.
No, it's more I didn't mind it being 1 charge to begin with.
Okay, yeah.
But having it 2 is fine.
Okay.
I don't see the harm.
All right, we're on a good track, and now they listen for 3 more hours to our suggestions and comments. And I think the next iteration will be even better with even more community suggestions.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Blizzard did reiterate that they would like to gather feedback and our suggestions. It's clear that they are paying attention to whatever people are saying, whatever channel that reaches them via. And they do clearly take it on board. And I do appreciate that there is an attempt to branch out and do something different and off the wall. Like, say, for example, buffing Bash to Oblivion. But we are very, very kind of sensitive in the scene. We don't like to have lots of changes. Most good players, and there's a lot of kind of, let's say, semi-pro to pro level players that could be quite outspoken, obviously, and have opinions on this and be like, oh, this is like the worst suggestion ever, which I'm definitely neither of those things, but I am outspoken regardless and like memeing in the chat about how bad the changes are. But I still appreciate the effort.
All right. I appreciate the time with you, Qubert. Now we got 2 other people on the line, so I kick you out.
Sweet. Have fun.
Bye, Vade.
Cheers.
All right. I hope he's here. We got Lemes back on the line who wanted to add one more thing. So go ahead.
I want to add one more thing, more like a balance suggestion. And guess what? It's Pala Rifle versus Tier 1 Expanded. But
of course,
I guess we all agree that Undead have the advantage in this matchup because after you build up the army, you come to the you have long range rifles, you have Blood Mage, you come to your opponent, and then you get stopped by the 1 Nerub Tower. So I was thinking how to force Undead to fight on the equal terms without those towers. And don't take me wrong, this is like a suggestion. I just want to throw it in the air and see, maybe I am missing something because I currently don't see any way to break the game with this. Dragonhawk Cloak available at tier 2. Because if you go and interrupt the towers, you can come in, you stop the towers, you force a fight without the towers. without timing of the frenzy ghouls, etc. And this is way more balanced way than to just go mortars and destroy the towers, because if you are achieve it, your opponent have 1k gold and cannot spend it because he's supply block, or your opponent kill your mortars and he stop your push completely. So that's my idea, and I just want to hear feedback from you. Like, is it okay? Is it not okay? And for me, like when I was thinking of it, it would be the best way to try to equalize this matchup without breaking the others. But maybe I am wrong.
I never thought about this, so this catches me off guard. It would take quite some time, right? You need a Griffin Aviary, you need the cloud to research.
You need shop and lumber mill also.
Yeah. I
So the
don't
timing
hate
would
it
be later.
immediately.
Yeah,
Huh.
I was also thinking about other matchups, like it will not help you too much against orcs. You are not making dragon hawks, and even if you do, they are bad in mass against towers.
Yeah, they should be able to ensnare you and kill you.
Also, against Night Elf, there was strategy with mass dragon hawk, but it was already with tier 3, so there is also no way to like break the game there. Dragon hawk clouds are trash in human mirror, in my opinion.
Yep.
Gyros are just easily counter them. So I'm thinking like, is it too much? Maybe it kills tier 1 expo for the undead if human don't go for the tier 1 expansion, because the timing might be too good. But I'm just leaving it like that.
All right.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah, we can think about it. As I said, I don't hate it. Let's test it and think about it.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
Thanks then. See ya.
See ya. One more guest. Last guest of the evening because I like him so much. RazerMoon is back.
Oh, hi, Neo. Hello, hello, chat.
What's up, dude? I saw your patch notes. You definitely thought a lot about the current state and what you would like to see. And now we have a new iteration. So your thoughts, much appreciated.
Well, thank you so much, Neo, for having me in. So the patch notes I did only in regards to the current PTR changes. I did not include any like outsides. I just like maybe tried to shape the direction of where the PTR is going. But I'm still working on a second paper with overall balance changes, and it's taken me so long because I'm reaching out to like human players and dead players, orc players, and I'm asking what's wrong here and there. I'm trying to make it like very convenient for every race, because there is always the fear that the patch is going to be the last one and all of a sudden we're going to be stuck with whatever.
Yep.
And there we go. So that's quite a huge PTR change list, to be honest. To begin with, I think militia duration, it's cool that we buff it back. I think just looking from overall all the numbers that are bringing up for the human race, this I think should be enough to fix human Night Elf matchup, just from looking at numbers. I not sure. The militia specifically would allow human players to get new creep routes on Lost Refuge, Twisted Meadows, other maps. So I think like that's gonna bring strategic variety, really nice change. The bonus bash bonus damage, it's not as concerning, but for me personally, as a Night Elf perspective, but like undeads could definitely feel it, I think. But again, like at level 4, Mountain King is gonna have like bash level 2. It's gonna be a less percentage but more damage, right? So I don't think it's going to be broken for level 4 MK. Level 5, though, now I'm questioning, like, what do you go for? If with the 75 number, it was still obvious to me that, like, Bolt or Clap would be still, like, a better spell to go for. And now it is 100. And would it be worse taking, let's say, against Demon Hunter? If you, like, you say, like, I'll not have mana due to mana burn, so, like, why wouldn't I go for Bash? So I think it's going to be something interesting, definitely. Maybe 75 would be still a better number. I'm not sure, like it needs testing basically. So the patch just came out, I couldn't finish, but the stand duration is something else. 2, 4, and 6. Like 6 seconds of passive ability stand is for level 5 MK now, on top of 100 extra damage. Well, Blizzard, if you know where I live, just share what you smoke out there, I guess, on this department, because the numbers are literally
It's
the
absurd.
numbers are quite off. Yeah, for this one, but I think maybe like 2, 3, 4 seconds would be something very strong, but just like I'm not even sure about this one. But the best chance goes down. Devotion Aura, I think numbers are good here. Like 3, 4, 6 kind of makes sense because level 5 Pele, you still want to take heal level 3. It's not making our super appear broken. I think it's gonna be a good change. The food increase, it's shout out to oh my god, what was his name?
Save
The map
walkers.
maker.
Save
What?
walkers.
Save Warcraft, yeah,
Yes,
Save
yes,
Warcraft,
yes,
yeah. Save Warcraft, shout out, because I think this is a good change. I like it. Immolation cost to 10, completely agree here. I think 10 is a good number. I think that is a number that doesn't kill the spell, and also like this is good. The damage, it's controversial. So in order to fix human versus night elf, I am kind of questioning this. So to me, it almost feels like immolation damage is really good versus human, but not good enough versus undead, because undead has a speed aura and can kite you more. And like immolation is a spell that is kind of meant to stop the fast expansion, which was never really addressed in any way. And therefore, like here, I'm questioning this. Like it could be good for human. I agree on this department. Like maybe it needs to be this versus human even, but versus undead, like there's no any early game compensation really, because now we're getting double nerf and there is still fast expansion. Matchup is still like UD favoring, so I'm kind of questioning this. Mana Flare, the range is not exactly correct here. So I think to fix it versus human again, we need some max damage cap. A cap to be actually changed, because the main problem is that like okay 100 range less, but if your backline dies like same fast as before, it just like you gotta micro your fairies tiny lead better. Okay, like this change makes me micro my fairy dragons and human still dies to it, right? It's just like weird change, because I feel like the max damage needs to be changed. The Fan of Knives for Warden, it is a cool one. But I think people kind of a little bit overestimated, because yesterday I was doing the PTR changes note, and I was comparing this with like Dreadlord that costs like 100 mana more. 10 mana more, it's 100 versus 90. But on the same hand, like it hits mechanical units, TC hits buildings. You can cast them blind. In other words, you could just come to the expo without getting hit by the arcane tower. And like Warden needs vision, so usually you don't get fan level 3 before level 5, and at level 4 you would be still running with like Shadow Strike / Blink, and only then you retrain. So like level 2 change doesn't mean anything except for maybe I think it could open a play on the Echo Islands if you expand and then you creep Warden level 3 before you decoms over to cancel your expo, and maybe you're going to use like fan level 2 to defend it against ghouls on that very specific map. That's like what I see in terms of amplification of level 2, but rest like 2 units more is good, but like this is a good upgrade. I would just say like for Warden. Okay, the Druid of the Claw, it's tiny bit better for bears again on tier 3. 10 mana is not really anything. Like it's still not double redraw. Like if you are fighting at your opponent's base on a big map, by the time the Druid of the Claw is gonna reach your army on that like far end of the map where you are at, it's gonna have double redraw by then. All other cases, once you're getting pushed, like inside your base, you timing push, etc., this would not have any effect or little effect on Abomination collision size. So I actually witnessed today Insuperable and I think Lix fighting each other. So in subset, that's a nerf, because Abomination needs to tank. Then Lix was saying that like that's a buff because Abominations are super good. Now we can use them as bears. So I'm not really sure what it does. Like, if you need this unit to rather tank a damage and use it as a face control guard, right? That stands in front and doesn't let anybody in and out, or you actually want to use it as kind of must bear / knight meta. So an interesting change. I could see that some use. Turn rate, okay. I don't think it does much. Crypt Fiend turn rate, it is okay, but I feel like we're still missing a tiny bit to my degree. So, like, speaking of undeads, what I know is they have really hard matchup versus human. Like, human, I think, is heavily favored against undeads, and then undead is heavily favored against night elf. And I feel like the problematic point here is the ghouls. So ghouls with 35 frenzy is kind of crazy and overwhelming for the elf side of things. And also it's kind of, as I said before, unit basically, if you mess just by the concept, tier 1 units of any other race, eventually you're usually getting punished for it. So if you mess mass archers as a night elf, they're getting countered and there is no coming back. If you must grunts as orc, they're also like vulnerable. They have their weakness to like magic, slow, etc. If you must ghouls as undead, you're not really getting punished, whether you fast expanding or timing push, because they just work super well and give you that like crazy DPS as it feels. So I think like all of those changes, the fiend, the creeped, need to go together. I think it's kind of missing. With a frenzy ghoul nerf to being 28 or maybe 30%. I'm not exactly sure on the number. I would still have to talk more to undeads about it, because I also understand I played UD race and I kind of felt what it feels like versus orc. I know what it is versus human. It is not easy, guys. I know, but like we have a problematic matchup too. So we gotta find some middle ground, I think, maybe. So and that's kind of feel me on this one. Blade Storm, 140 damage. I don't know if they took this number from me or someone else, but that's nice because whenever they did it the previous time was too good. Troll Headhunter, the new HP buff. I think this is good. If they ever need a nerf, there is some parameter that's called attack damage point. It is the time that it takes the unit to start the hit. So right now it is very low. It's like 0.1 or point some. It's like super low for headhunters. And I think that parameter, if we ever have to like nerf headhunters, would be the one to work with. Why is that? Because on top tier level, orcs use headhunters overwhelmingly versus like human and other race because they can hit and run. And this parameter, if we change it to like being half of the archer, so for archer that's like 0.7 something of a second before like she's like taking the bow arrow, like making that shot, and I think like if we change it to like be in the middle in between what it is right now and an archer, that's going to be a good one, because this would reduce hit and run potential for orc, so therefore it affects only top tier scene, while it has no effect for like lower level orcs who just play ladder, love their headhunters and want to play them. I think this is like super nice change if we ever need to do this.
Yeah, I saw this in one of your previous feedback thingies, and I love that suggestion.
Thanks, Neo.
Not saying that we need it now, but just to keep it in mind that this value exists. It's really good.
Yeah, the Fire Lord Incinerate from 6 to 2. Oof, from one point of view, the Fire Lord, like, it is a meme hero, obviously. Like, it cannot really do anything on a pros scene, but Incinerate used to be 0 mana back to many, many, many years ago. It was just like a passive ability that used to incinerate, units, and it was super broken. It was back to the times when Night Elves used to play Talons with Firelord Third, also because of Incinerate, because it was doing the cool blow-in animation for the Raiders and Grunts. Now it is going to 2. I don't have an opinion yet on this one. I'll have to do testings. The lava spawns, I think somebody might have said it before me. I think they did this one incorrectly. So what they did is they actually made it +3 instead of -3. They just kind of, Blizzard, if you still can share what you smoke, you know my number, you know my account. Please
they do know your number? How do they know your number?
I hope so. I'm not sure. Maybe. The Volcano, of course, could see some buff. Like, anyway, it's a super rare rule, doesn't break anything. The most kind of, I think, controversial here is Staff of Teleportation. So Staff has 2 charges, and this both is good and bad. So from one point of view, there used to be those games where it's either Keeper Decay or Keeper Blade, and as for this old like must tier 1 headhunter called Alchemist meta, there used to be that moment in a game where you need to kind of fool the orc player, and you need to staff. You just run against the direction of your creeping, and you staff like to your units, and you creep some. And now Blade would be able to split his army with his grunt by the second staff and staff to where you're creeping. Therefore, it is actually a huge buff in terms of playing that style on the Orc Night Elf matchup. On the other hand, I kind of don't hate it because sometimes just player buys it from you and you're unable to staff. He gets like fast expansion in terms of human, along with like militia buff. But I would rather see this number as 1, because if we talk about like the Tome of Retraining, it was actually very valuable in some games. Let's say you're playing DH Immolation, and there is a human player who gets his supply and comes for the push, and he buys the Tome of Retraining for his like Archimage for Blizzard, and you can no longer retrain for Mana Burn. Or you're playing against Orc, and also like you sometimes gotta retrain to Mana Burn, and he's retraining from Hex to Serpent Wards, and you need now Mana Burn to Mana Burn Shadow Hunter, and you can't do so. So that change I welcome, but this one, I'm not quite exactly sure, to be honest. Like it's might be a lot. It might be actually very big in terms of this one, but I don't know yet. Crystal Ball moved level 3 to level 2. I wonder if they changed the price for the Crystal Ball. That's kind of first thing that comes to my mind.
So sure they did not.
Oh, yeah. Me too. But now, like, you could get a ring +4. That's super useful, right? Like, if you're going for the harass. Or you could get a Crystal Ball, and now you could just, do double scouting. Wow! I think Crystal Ball would better be at level 3, but maybe it might give some mini night vision effect to a hero that's like carrying it. What if we give it like some vision effect, so hero has his like vision ability is expanded during day or nighttime? Maybe some kind of that passive like ultra vision for every race. I could see something like that maybe if we need to rework the Crystal Ball, because of course, like, it's different if you get Claws +9 or like +8 right now, okay, or we get a Crystal Ball. It's like 2 different games.
I checked it just now, by the way. Crystal Ball has a gold value of 150, so they did change it.
Oh, okay, I see. Well, I mean, yeah, but maybe the item definitely does not belong to level 2, because we're trying here to like mitigate those level 2 items with like removed circlet, nerfed claws. The ring might maybe need to be addressed as well, but then we're getting like this just item that does exactly nothing besides the fact that you could scout, like maybe against Blade Master if like you're playing human, and Orc is also like used to work at Blizzard and still like smoking, and he is taking Blade Master and comes for harass, and now human could like reveal the blade. That's the only probably like use of the item.
The issue with that is that it doesn't stay revealed. It's just the 2 or 3 seconds where the scan is working. It's not like a dust.
True, but I feel like if you're creeping some camp with like that brand new militia, and like you don't want the blade to steal your item or anything of this nature, like that's the case. I could see that being used. Otherwise, like you creep few camps, you get 3 crystal balls, and you have that stacked Blade Master with those 3 crystal balls, or stacked Demon Hunter that already looks dangerous just by the amount of balls he has, and that's how it feels. Other than that, like I'm always like concerned that we're making so many changes at the same time overall. Like only God knows, like the Spirit Walker buff, how it's gonna be on a Night Elf. What I see here is Night Elf on that matchup is not getting addressed. Like Night Elf got a tiny bit nerf on Talons. I see like that's a good, probably good direction to go for. But then, like again, like no timings changed, no skull changes, and of course, what I wanted to talk here is in Nerubian Tower. I actually came up with an idea, which I want everybody to know because I think that's really brilliant. If we change Nerubian Tower damage to magic, the type, therefore it would start hitting 200% against Footman and Water Elementals, because UD human matchup is problematic. instead of changing the cooldown? What if we do change in terms of the magic type, and then we reduce the slow and leave it to 1 second as it hits right now? I feel like this could be very useful against human, because now it is still like undeads. I feel like they have those two meta strategies and looking like happy games. One games he's fast expanding, others he used to just take Lich and go straight cross map to try to slow down the human player. And I feel like this magic damage change make the UD fast expansion more reliable and better versus human, where they need. On the same hand, kind of reducing the amount of devastation Night Elf hero gets or archers get, and also like reducing the tower rush potential, because again, like it's still like a viable strategy on certain maps. So that's like my idea that I want to propose here for like everybody to discuss it. But other than that, like I could see some things getting changed. I think they said that like we're gonna be monitoring and making changes until the end of November. So I hope Royal would not be affected, and it's still gonna be probably on the current patch, just because who knows what we get. Like if meta changes right before Rara, it's just not too cool, too cool, guys.
Chaos.
Like too many changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. My feedback for now, and I will maybe come up with some more stuff tiny bit later.
Very good input, very good feedback as always. Chat is saying you could tower push the orcs with that Nerup tower change?
Well, I mean, if orcs, they're playing Blade now, so you could potentially go for Lich first. But problem is, Orc UD was a headhunter getting back probably, and I hope was like Frenzy, tiny bit tweaked and nerfed. I think Orc UD is going to be very much stable, and I don't think this strategy, like Orc, has better potential with certain base layouts of beating this, because the tower push as a strategy is not meant to finish the game. I feel like a lot of UD players, they're just going for like all-in version, like as many Nerubian towers as they could. But if you play like the 120s way, who's like a strategical genius in my eyes, you just need to like waste completely, dry the moon juice, win some time, and then once there is no moon juice left, a demon hunter cannot heal. Just expand on tier 2 and then tier 3, time and push. And I feel like that's exactly what makes it so powerful against Night Elf. If you play it correctly, like correct timings, correct execution, and you do not try to finish the game, but rather you buy a lot of time with it. So for orcs, I never seen so far, even like lately at least, getting tower rushed, but I'm pretty sure that like there are some counter ways. You just build a war mill, headhunters, like demolishers, towers. I think Black Orc has good sustain there, but we're gonna see. I don't know. I cannot know for the future, so whatever it's gonna be, let it be.
Let it be. All right, dude. Thank you so much, and we see each other soon. At the very least, when the next iteration drops, and you'll be on the call again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Neo, for having me.
Take care, dude. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right, that's it with the open mic night. We've spent 3 hours once again, an hour less than before, but it was not too much to discuss, but interesting for sure. We talked about the initial response, and tomorrow we have another talk where me and Dondo and Save Orcas will talk about what are the issues in, like, from our vision, what are the current issues in pro play, in the matchups, a little bit quality of life stuff, and how we would address it. So I can tell it goes far away from what Blizzard is proposing. The boys are working on it as we speak. So yeah, if you like this, give us a thumbs up. If you like any argument or any proposal in particular, write them down. And tell us what you think about the PTR patch notes. And come up with your own feedback. Gotta say, the Night Elf Discord is doing a very good job with Account Create and RazerMoon both, giving great feedback. We've also seen someone on Reddit translating what Ted had to say about this. We had Scars on for some voice calls. That was pretty good, always. But I feel like a lot of players who are very vocal, if someone else comes up with feedback, don't put in the time or effort to come up with their own feedback. So I would love to see more of that on the socials, the Reddits, the YouTubes of the world. And until then, thank you very much for the support. Once again, thank you CN, Buttcrumbs, Lonely Driver, and Lucky Me Hardcore. Oh, Chuddy comes in. Oh, Chuddy knows a lot about Warcraft and he highlights me. That must be important. Okay, Chuddy says, there is a lot of confusion about collision size. In Melee, there are only 3 unit sizes. The difference between 32 and 40 matters only for hitboxes and attack range, not for unit size. A-bomb 40 will be the same size as a knight tier 1 ranged heroes. That's not too great, I guess then. Same as knights is not what we want, eh? Okay, then we have to figure out what editor and the value to change so we get what we want, and that is a less clumsy abomination. Okay. Some people that are a lot smarter about Warcraft 3 mechanics can help us out, I guess. There is no way because there's a jump from medium to large. So bear is also medium. If I get this correctly. That's annoying. All right. Okay. I don't have a fix for that at the moment. And I'm hungry. But it's good to know. And that should be on the forums. I hope you make a post about it somewhere. So, yeah. Huh. Damn. Thank you for the input. Also, Lemes coming in with the Pally rifle expertise. And everyone else who was on. Good discussion. More of that tomorrow.